You're surrounded by dozens of people at a party. Everyone's laughing and chatting, but inside you feel completely invisible. It's like you're watching life through glass. Sound familiar? Here's the surprising truth. Feeling lonely in a crowd isn't about being antisocial or awkward. It's actually your brain trying to protect you from something much deeper. By the end of this video, you'll understand exactly why this happens and discover 7 research-backed strategies. Chapter 1. The Authenticity Gap. Why do you feel most alone when you're trying hardest to fit in? The answer lies in what psychologists call the authenticity gap. Think of your authentic self as your internal radio station, constantly broadcasting your real thoughts, feelings, and personality. But in social situations, we often switch to a different frequency, playing what we think others want to hear. Your brain has a sophisticated social monitoring system that's constantly scanning for acceptance versus rejection. When there's a mismatch between who you really are and who you're pretending to be, your brain interprets this as social danger. It's like having a smoke detector that goes off not because there's a fire, but because there's a disconnection between your inner and outer worlds. Picture Sarah at her company's holiday party. She's making small talk about weekend plans she doesn't care about, laughing at jokes that aren't funny to her, and agreeing with opinions she doesn't share. Even though people seem to like this version of her, she feels empty and disconnected. That's because genuine connection requires genuine sharing, not performance. Here's your first actionable step: the authenticity audit. Before your next social interaction, identify 3 things that are genuinely true about your current state. Maybe you're excited about a book you're reading, concerned about a family member, or curious about someone's unusual job. Share one of these real pieces of yourself instead of defaulting to social scripts. You'll be amazed how differently people respond when you give them something real to connect with. Chapter 2. The Mirror-Neuron Connection. Ever notice how you can instantly tell when someone is genuinely interested in you versus just being polite? That's your mirror neurons at work. These specialized brain cells literally mirror the emotional state of the person you're interacting with. They're like emotional Wi-Fi, constantly syncing up with the people around you. But here's where it gets interesting. Mirror neurons can't connect with what isn't there. If someone is emotionally checked out or putting up walls, your mirror neurons have nothing authentic to mirror. This creates what neuroscientists call social static, where your brain keeps trying to connect but can't find a clear signal. Think of it like trying to have a conversation through a bad phone connection. You can hear that someone's talking, but you can't make out what they're actually saying. Your brain registers the social interaction, but doesn't receive the emotional nutrients it needs to feel truly connected. The solution is becoming what researchers call an emotional broadcaster. Instead of waiting for others to be genuine first, you start transmitting clear emotional signals. When someone asks how you are, instead of, "Fine, try. Honestly, I'm a bit nervous about this presentation tomorrow, but also excited to share what I've been working on." Watch how quickly the conversation shifts from surface level to substantial. Your practical exercise. Practice emotional granularity. Instead of the basic emotions like good or stressed, develop a vocabulary for the specific feelings you're experiencing. Are you anticipatory, contemplative, energized, or overwhelmed? The more precisely you can identify and share your emotional state, the easier it becomes for others. Mirror neurons to sync with yours. Chapter 3. Reframing Social Rejection. Here's a counterintuitive truth that might shock you. The fear of not being liked is actually preventing you from being liked. When you're focused on avoiding rejection, your brain goes into what psychologists call defensive social mode. You become hypervigilant about potential signs of disapproval, which makes you less present and less enjoyable to be around. It's like trying to drive while constantly checking your rearview mirror for police cars. You're so focused on what might go wrong that you can't focus on where you're actually going. This defensive energy is something people can sense, even if they can't articulate it. But what if I told you that social rejection isn't actually about you being defective? Research shows that social compatibility is more like puzzle pieces than report cards. When 2 puzzle pieces don't fit together, it doesn't mean either piece is wrong. It just means they're not a match for each other. Here's the reframe that changes everything. Instead of trying to be likable to everyone, focus on being findable by your people. Think of social interactions as a filtering system, not a test. Every conversation is helping you identify who you naturally click with and who you don't, which is incredibly valuable information. Try this thought experiment. Imagine you have a limited amount of social energy to spend each day. Would you rather spend it trying to convince people who aren't naturally aligned with you to like you, or would you rather spend it building deeper connections with people who already appreciate what you bring to the table? Your action step. the compatibility mindset shift. In your next social situation, instead of asking yourself, do they like me? Ask, do I feel energized or drained by this interaction? This simple shift moves you from validation seeking to connection seeking, which paradoxically makes you more attractive to the right people. Chapter 4. Breaking the Social Performance Trap. Why do we feel loneliest when we're getting the most social approval? This is the performance trap, where you become so good at being what others want that you lose touch with what you actually want. It's like being a method actor who's been in character so long, they've forgotten their real personality. The performance trap is sneaky because it actually works in the short term. People do respond positively when you tell them what they want to hear, agree with their opinions, and mirror their energy. But this creates what psychologists call a validation addiction, where you need increasing amounts of external approval to feel okay about yourself. Here's what's happening in your brain. Every time you perform instead of being authentic, you're strengthening neural pathways associated with external validation while weakening the pathways associated with internal self-worth. Over time, this makes you feel like you're only valuable when you're performing, which is exhausting and ultimately isolating. The way out of the performance trap is what I call strategic vulnerability. This doesn't mean oversharing or being inappropriate. It means selectively sharing things that are true but not necessarily flattering. Maybe you admit you don't understand a reference everyone's laughing about, or you share that you're still figuring out your career path. Let me tell you what strategic vulnerability accomplishes. It gives others permission to be real. It attracts people who value authenticity. It builds your tolerance for being seen as imperfect. Think of it as strength training for your authenticity muscle. Your practice, the imperfection experiment. In low-stakes social situations, intentionally share one small thing that makes you seem human rather than perfect. Notice that the world doesn't end, and often people actually warm up to you more, not less. Chapter 5. The Energy Exchange Principle. Here's something most people don't realize. Every social interaction is an energy exchange, and loneliness is often a sign that you're in energy debt. Imagine you're at a networking event, asking lots of questions and showing interest in others, but nobody's asking about you. You leave feeling drained and invisible, even though you technically had lots of conversations. What happened? You were giving energy without receiving any back. It's like trying to charge your phone with a cable that only goes one way. Social interactions need to be reciprocal to feel nourishing. But here's the part that might surprise you. Most people aren't intentionally selfish. They're often just following your lead. If you only ask questions and never share, they might think you're private and don't want to be asked about yourself. If you always listen and never speak up, they might assume you prefer the listener role. The solution is becoming what I call a social engineer. You consciously design interactions to be mutually beneficial rather than leaving it to chance. This doesn't mean being calculating. It means being intentional about creating space for genuine exchange. Here's a practical formula. The give and take balance. For every question you ask or story you listen to, create an opportunity for reciprocation. You might say, that's fascinating. I've been dealing with something similar with my project. Or, that reminds me of something that happened to me last week. You're not hijacking the conversation. You're creating a bridge for deeper connection. Your experiment. Track your social energy for 1 week. After each social interaction, rate your energy level on a scale of 1 to 10. Notice which types of interactions energize you and which drain you. This awareness alone will help you make better choices about how you show up socially. Chapter 6. Creating Connection Rituals. Why do some people seem to effortlessly build connections wherever they go? They understand something crucial. Connection isn't accidental. It's architectural. They've developed what I call connection rituals, small but consistent behaviors that create opportunities for genuine interaction. Think about your closest friendships. They weren't built through one deep conversation. They were built through repeated small moments of connection over time. Your brain forms attachment through what psychologists call social repetition. Each positive interaction creates a small deposit in what you could think of as an emotional bank account with that person. Here's where most people get it wrong. They wait for connection to happen naturally, then feel disappointed when it doesn't. But connection is like any other skill. It requires intentional practice and system design. Let me give you some examples of connection rituals. Always bring interesting questions to parties instead of waiting for good conversations to emerge. Follow up with people after meeting them to continue interesting conversations you started. Share something you're genuinely curious about when someone asks what you're up to. The key is consistency and authenticity. Your rituals need to feel natural to you, or they'll come across as manipulative. Think of them as structures that help your genuine personality shine through, not masks to hide behind. Your assignment: design 3 connection rituals that feel authentic to you. Maybe it's asking people about something they're excited about, instead of just what they do for work. Or sharing one thing you learned recently when you meet someone new. The specific ritual matters less than having intentional ways to move beyond surface-level interaction. Chapter 7. Building your social confidence from the inside out. Here's the final piece of the puzzle. Sustainable social confidence doesn't come from getting better at impressing people. It comes from getting better at being yourself. Most social advice focuses on external techniques, but lasting change happens when you address the internal beliefs driving your social anxiety. Ask yourself this: what story are you telling yourself about your social value? Many people operate from a scarcity mindset, believing they need to earn their place in social situations through entertainment, agreement, or usefulness. But this creates enormous pressure and makes every interaction feel like a test you might fail. The alternative is abundance thinking, believing that you have inherent value and that the right people will recognize and appreciate it. This doesn't mean being arrogant. It means operating from a place of curiosity rather than desperation. Here's a powerful reframe. Instead of going into social situations trying to get something, go in trying to give something. Not money or favors, but attention, curiosity, and genuine interest. When your focus shifts from "what can I get from these people" to "what can I offer these people," your entire energy changes. This works because it aligns with how our brains are wired for social connection. We're naturally drawn to people who make us feel seen and understood, not people who are trying to impress us. When you show up with genuine curiosity about others, you become the kind of person others want to be around. Your long-term practice. Develop what I call social generosity. Look for ways to contribute value to every interaction, whether it's through thoughtful questions, interesting perspectives, or simply giving someone your full attention. Notice how this shifts both your internal experience and others' responses to you. The truth about loneliness in crowds isn't that you're broken or antisocial. It's that you're human, and humans need authentic connection to thrive. Every technique we've covered today, from closing the authenticity gap to building connection rituals, is designed to help you create the genuine interactions your brain and heart are craving. Remember, the goal isn't to be liked by everyone. The goal is to be known by someone. Start with one conversation, one moment of authenticity, one connection ritual. Your future self, surrounded by people who truly see and appreciate you, will thank you for taking this first step. If this resonated with you, try implementing just one of these strategies this week and let me know how it goes in the comments. And if you want more evidence-based approaches to building genuine confidence and connection, subscribe for new videos every week. You don't have to feel lonely in crowds anymore. The path to authentic connection starts with a single choice to show up as yourself.